Delia's How to Cook, next Tuesday at 8:30 on BBC2.
Choosing the right antiques to help your party go with a swing. The Antique Show is in half an hour here on BBC2 after a tasty offering.
Traquair House in the Scottish Borders is one of the most romantic houses I have ever visited. Built in 1100, it is the home of two remarkable women, Flora and Catherine Maxwell Stuart. The walls of this charming house, which is only one room thick, have seen the family's fortunes rise and fall. Their adherence to the Catholic faith led to centuries of persecution. Imprisonment and near ruinous taxation meant they had little money for fashionable renovations. Thus Traquair is something of a rarity, an ancient house that remains almost entirely unchanged. I've come here as one of Traquair's most famous features is its brewery, founded in 1700. It is still working today, and ale plays an important part in the family's recipes. For Flora and Catherine, both recently widowed, the house is their greatest asset. And to help keep things going, it's open to the public. Catherine is the present Lady Laird of Traquair. Catherine, what I thought I'd do is get the bear's eye view for this photograph. Right. So if the bear was looking down on you. Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. Really nice. So these just tell me a bit about the bears.
Well, the bears are there because Traquair was originally a hunting lodge, and so that's where the bears originated. And the gates, of course, are famous because they were closed in 1745 when Bonnie Prince Charlie visited. And they were vowed, the Earl of Traquair vowed never to open them again until a Stuart king returned to the throne. Right. And so they're still shut. We're still waiting. I'm just going to come down and, because I'd like to get some from that level. So how long have the family lived here? Well over 500 years, so it makes it the oldest continually inhabited house in Scotland. Isabella. So Isabella, will she be, you're the 21st Lady of Traquair. It's a lovely title. So Isabella was the 22nd. She'll be the 22nd, lady. I suppose, yes. What do you think of that, Isabella? You're looking down at your heritage. Just stand against the gates. Catherine and her mother are making the most of what the house has to offer. The family chapel is used for weddings, and Catherine is making the pudding for the wedding banquet, Cranachan, made from whisky, cream, lemon juice and oatmeal, layered with raspberry puree. It must have been such fun being a child in this house. Yeah, no, it was a wonderful place to grow up. Yeah. What sort of things do you remember doing? Well, I used to particularly enjoy surprising all the visitors with my friend, and we used to sort of whiz out from behind the priest's hole and pop up behind the cellar's doors and give them all great frights. There are quite a lot of secret passages in the house. There are. Well, there's the famous priest's escape, which actually runs all the way down the house. So there's plenty of opportunities. So you can pop out in different places all over the house, can you? Well, more or less, yes. Yeah. I mean, if you know it well enough, you can come out of virtually any door. Yes, it's got a sort of a real atmosphere of a loved family home. Yes, I mean, I think it has, you know, I mean, every generation has certainly loved the house, and it has got a wonderful atmosphere. I'll just get the glasses. OK. Well, if today's anything to go by, it's a pretty busy place, this. So you've got the house open to the public, there's a wedding this evening, we've got a Scottish banquet tomorrow night, and then
There's a beer festival all weekend, isn't there?
Tell me about it. I know it's quite horrendous
Buzzing
this
with
weekend.
activity,
It's not always quite as busy, but this is a particularly bad one.
And this dish you're making is called?
This is called Cranachan.
Cranachan.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a very traditional Scottish dessert.
Yeah. So what? And just run through exactly what's in it.
Well, it's whipped cream, lemon juice, oatmeal.
Yes.
And raspberries, and of course, not forgetting a very generous dash of whisky.
That's very important. As far as I'm concerned, I hope extra generous.
Extra generous, yes. We'll try and make this an extra generous.
It's very pretty, I must say. You just build it up in layers, dear.
Yeah.
And very traditionally Scottish.
Very
Is that
traditionally
right?
Scottish. Appears on most sort of
yeah.
traditional Scottish banquet menus.
I've actually never heard of it.
Little heard of down south.
And I believe these delicious Cranachans are for the wedding, right?
That's right, yes, they are.
So am I going to get to taste one?
Well, I don't know. I suppose we
Go on,
could
please.
try one.
Thanks. You can always make some more.
Another 28 to go.
No, there was that many. Right, let's have a go. Yummy, that is. It's so light.
I know, so light, but yet so rich.
Yes. It slightly reminds me of a dish from my own locality, the East Riding of Yorkshire, which is trifle. And it's the same kind of idea. It's actually much better because it's lighter, this.
At the very top of the house is the priest's room, where visiting Catholic priests once had to be hidden away. It's here Father Robinson is preparing for the wedding.
I must say, this is beautiful. This,
Yes, I guess it's a long time since a priest wore this. Not that I would normally wear it for a wedding, but I'd wear something like that.
Yeah.
But they're pretty plain.
Yes, why is that?
It was so that they could be disguised, as it were, as bedclothes, that they could have been used for anything.
So when the family were persecuted for being Catholics?
They'd have to cover up as much that was Catholic as possible.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking to myself that as it's quite a rarity actually to find a priest in a priest's room, that I might take a photograph of you here, if you wouldn't mind.
That's fine.
Yes, that's rather nice. You don't even have to look at me. You just sort of look down, as if you're looking for a mob of screaming props. Yes, exactly, coming to get you. I suppose you'd have had to get away quickly in the old days if you'd seen the mob coming from Peebles.
Yes, probably one would have heard them before one saw them, and that would have been at least given us a bit of warning, but we'd have to just scarper, really.
And where would you have scarpered to?
Up off here and off with these vestments and scarper through there.
Well, can I scarper with you then?
Certainly.
Right. Let's go.
Looks like a cupboard, but
Amazing.
there's a bit more to it than this.
Goodness.
Now, down in here.
Amazing.
It's pretty steep. You'd have to take care.
Certainly my first time in a priest's home. So, have you ever been down these steps before, Father?
Not really. I looked down them, but
Yes.
I was tempted to try it the last time I visited the house.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I've had the chance today.
Oh, right. This is the
This
room
King's
where Mary
room.
Queen of Scots. Yes, the King's room. Now, where do we go? Down here now. Oops. So this should take us
Now,
down.
no doubt my predecessors bashed their heads as well. Whether that helped with the next sermon, I don't know.
Probably. I wonder where this is going to bring us out. There we are.
Indeed.
Right in the chapel. Perfect.
In the library, Catherine's mother Flora is helping me search for a recipe.
It's a particularly lovely room, this library, because it's so sort of cosy. It's not too grand.
No, you can imagine them sitting here with a fire
Yes,
blazing.
it must have been wonderful. What I love about these old books, this one, which has kind of medical recipes, you know, the usual things for clearing warts. This one's got taking stains out with salt of lemon. Is I also found one in here which is the recipe for conception. And it says take half a handful of Carl hemp seed, whatever that is. Bruise it very well. Put it in a moleskin of white wine. Let it stand 24 hours, shaking the bottle now and then. And I guess it was used, must have been used, well, obviously very successfully by the fourth Countess of Traquair, because I see she had 17 children between 1695 and 1711.
Yes, I shouldn't think she took it too often after the first dozen.
Pretty good going. Did you have any luck with the recipe, food recipe?
Yeah, well, I've been looking through this rather wonderful book, and
What is that?
this is a French cookery book from the last century, which has the most wonderful illustrations. That's a sturgeon.
That's fantastic. What have they got stuck in it?
I think they're shrimps with lots of other things. I can't quite make out. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll do that, do you?
No, I think definitely not.
The Scots were particularly influenced by French food and by French everything. You know, there's a lot of French words in the Scottish language still.
Yeah.
Like ashet, you know, instead of a dish.
Because they were much more sophisticated, really, weren't they, in things like cooking. And, I mean, the Scots were drinking wine, weren't they, long before the English ever were?
Yes, they liked their Burgundy, didn't they? Yes.
Yeah. We want something we can use ale in.
Yes, well, there is rather nice one for venison here.
Right.
And I think it'd be particularly nice because I think venison's always inclined to be dry.
Yes, it needs marinating, doesn't it?
Yes, and I think the ale actually does tenderise meat.
Yeah, well, that's
so
good.
We could try that.
Another of Traquair's ventures is an annual beer festival, which is held in the Old Wall Garden and brings together beers from all over Scotland. Good morning.
Help you.
I've been asked to bring this by Flora Maxwell Stuarts from Traquair House.
All right.
It's a recipe.
Yes.
And it's to go in under the piece about the Traquair Beer Festival.
Right.
So if it can go in...
Yeah, I'll certainly pass that one for you. Okay, thank you very much.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.
The Traquair brewery still uses an original recipe discovered in the library. Herbs and spices were used to stop the beer from developing a sour taste. Today, a herb is still one of its secret ingredients, coriander. They started brewing what here in the 17th century?
Yes.
Yeah. And the actual recipe is the same recipe today. I mean, the Traquair ale comes from the original recipe.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And where was that found? Was it?
I believe it was found in the archives in the house.
Really fascinating. I heard what sounded like the sound of an organ, a sort of distant sound. Where's that coming from?
That'll be coming from the chapel, which is directly above.
It's straight above here.
Yes.
So even if I tapped on the ceiling, they might hear me.
Yes.
And when you're in there, can you smell the beer?
You certainly can, yes. Especially on a warm day.
So it's quite overpowering.
Yes, pleasantly overpowering.
It must be a very popular place for the priests and the congregation.
It seems to be, yeah.
Well, now we know why. Oh dear, this is very sad. The Peebles, accordion and fiddle club dance, due to be held in the Burgh Hall Peebles, has been cancelled due to lack of support.
Oh dear,
Well,
were you hoping to go?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry
good.
about
Here
that.
it is. The Traquair recipe is in. Unfortunately, what they don't realise is that we haven't actually tried it out yet. But
Well, that's what we're doing,
Exactly.
and I'm sure it'll go well. I've
So
never
what-
actually done it with venison before. It's very good with beef.
There we-
Yes.
Right, so you've tried it before once then.
Oh, no.
It has had an outing. Did you think the venison would go better, or...?
Well, I thought it'd be interesting because I think that the beer and the venison will go very well together. Yes,
Yeah.
and that's why I've not put vegetables in this time.
Right.
So I think with beef it's quite nice to add carrots.
So it's just going to be plain onions,
Onions.
and... Yeah.
Yes, onions, venison, and the garlic, a bouquet garni,
Right.
little flour to thicken, and the most important thing, the ale.
Traquair ale.
Yes. And that's the one with the coriander in. So that will
delicious, yes.
extra little bit of flavour.
Well, I hope I get to have a taste of it later.
Oh yes, I think we're going to do that. Now, do you think that's browned enough?
Yeah, I think so.
No, a little bit of flavouring.
Yep. It looks delicious, actually.
Does look good. It smells nice too.
What's that herb?
Well, this is a nice little bouquet garni with this lovage, which I'm mad about,
Yes.
and bay and
Lovage
thyme.
is an ancient herb, isn't it? You see that in sort of Elizabethan recipes.
Yes.
Was there a herb garden?
Well, oddly enough, there isn't. We haven't got anything written down about that. What is odd is the things they used to grow in the garden in the past. They grew melon
Melon.
and pineapples in the greenhouse. It was amazing.
That was what, in the 18th century, was that?
Yes. It's like a hot climate.
And you could grow exotic fruits.
Yep, apparently. There's a wonderful cover.
Just, will you promise us to leave an inch at the bottom of the bottle? Because I'd love to just have a little sip of it.
All right.
You just poured it all in.
There you are, there's a sip.
Thanks. I want to have a try. Actually, you can smell the coriander.
And I'm just
Quite
going to put a little
strongly.
flour in now to
Yeah.
thicken it. I actually should have put that in before, but I was distracted.
And that's an extraordinary taste. It's kind of almost, it's got a sort of black molassesy type of flavour.
Yes,
it's like bitterness, and then this quite strong taste of coriander.
Sort of an aftertaste of coriander, isn't it?
Mmm.
There we are.
Lovely.
Now, that should cook for about an hour in the oven.
It's getting a bit hot in here. Do you mind if I try and open this window?
While we're waiting for this to cook, I've got one or two things I'd quite like you to do. Because everybody's...
Open this
no,
window for
that's not
start.
the- no,
That probably
that's
hasn't
not-
been open for 500 years.
That's not actually it.
Yeah.
What's far more important is we need to get the flag up, because the Ale Festival's on and it's not been put up this year. And it's just above here on the roof.
Well,
So-
it's just a question of hauling.
Well, you'd actually have to climb up a little bit.
How high?
I'll let you see.
I'm a little suspicious of this request. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming. The thing is, because of the beer festival, I've been asked by Mrs. Maxwell Stuart to do some odd jobs about the house, because I'm the only guy around at the moment. And apparently there hasn't been a flag flying for years up here.
We'll do our best.
Yeah, great. Good. Well, we'll go and have a look. There's no access at all to the front here. There was a real fire here. They think you'd have to break the gates down. You couldn't do that? So you had to carry everything through? Yeah. I've got the keys to that window if you want to get through there. Or is it easier for you to do it from this side? I must say, it's marvellous being involved in cookery programmes, the things that go on. Beautiful colour, this flag. Actually, it's not in bad condition at all. There she blows. What does it mean, this?
Well, the star is the Traquair arms, and the check, the blue and white check, is the Stuart arms.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful. The colours are wonderful. So once again, the Traquair arms are fluttering above the castle.
No, isn't that great? So I'll have to try and think of something else for you to do.
So this is a triumphal dish of dumplings.
Yes. This has got, I'm just putting the parsley and the chopped herbs in. This always gets your fingers really sticky, but it's much better to use your fingers.
Do you use butter with it? No suet?
Well, I'm not very keen on suet, so
Right.
I use butter instead. I think they're
Right.
lighter.
I mean, I've only made dumplings, so I didn't know you could do them with butter.
Yes, I think you'll find they're much lighter.
Right,
They
very
rise
good,
better.
yeah.
Now, just put the egg in. I'll put it in gradually because it might not need all this.
So now
Now, that's all bound together, and then you have to roll them into little balls the size of
Yeah.
pigeons' eggs.
Delicious. I love dumplings, actually.
I do, and so many people do. Not many people seem to make them now.
Well, I know they're not something that's widely eaten, and yet they're so simple.
And they're lovely in Scotland, particularly where the weather's really cold in the winter.
Yeah.
And a hot piping stew.
Yes.
And nice soggy dumplings.
So they cook in the gravy?
Yes, some people say that you should baste them, but I actually don't usually bother to do that. I don't know why. I think it would make them extra soggy. I Well, they're really nice if you don't. You just shove them in the oven.
Well, I'm glad to say I've cooled down a bit now. Looking forward to something like a lovely glass of iced tea or something like that.
Well, actually, I just had another little job for you.
What?
Well, I think it'd just be time for you to do the maize.
You're joking, of course. I must say, before I had Isabel in my arms, I was feeling a little, not quite that I should be sitting at the head of the table.
Now,
I feel okay.
yes.
So you're quite lucky, really, because you know the family have had such hard times in the past, and having a commercial enterprise here with your brewery.
Yes, well, I mean, the brewery certainly is part of the whole of the business of the house, and it's starting to contribute towards maintaining the
and it's
fabric
been part of the
house.
history for so long.
Well, yes, it's exactly, and it's so wonderful to be able to use the brewery that's there and keep that used, because otherwise it would become a museum, which would be not as nice.
Yeah.
Isabella.
But there have been some incredible characters associated with it.
Wonderful. I mean, the thing is, a lot of them, of course, spent time in prison because for their Jacobite beliefs. But I think the most remarkable of all is Lady Nisden, whose portrait is down at the end there.
Right.
And she was the lady she was a sister-in-law of the 4th Earl of Traquair. And she left her children there. She lived in a house nearby and went down to London to rescue her husband from the Tower.
What, he'd been put in the Tower, why?
He'd been sentenced to death after the 15 rebellion. Right. And he was due to be beheaded in about 10 days' time when she arrived in London. And she went and interceded with George I, who was extremely rude to her. And then she decided to take matters in her own hands. And she was very clever, because I think she sort of gave the guards drink money, and she was very charming, obviously. So they decided to...
She hitched up her skirts, probably.
Just a little, I think. And so in the end of the day, she got 2 women to go in with her, in and out. And finally, one of them left clothes for her husband, who dressed up as a woman, came out of the Tower, was led away by her servant who was at the bottom. She then went back, which is so remarkable, and walked up and down in his cell, pretending to talk to him as if he was still there. Yes, I think that was the bravest thing of all.
Extraordinary.
She did that for about half an hour until he got time to get away.
Well, how wonderful. And if she'd been caught, no doubt she'd have been executed herself.
Yes, it said her life would have stood for his, yes. Yeah. And then they went into this sad life in exile, and she ended up being governess to Bonnie Prince Charlie's younger brother, Prince Henry.
Really?
Yes.
An amazing tale.
As well as a brewery, country houses often had their own bakehouse, and the two shared fuel stores, grain lofts and chimney stack. Baking at Traquair has long since ended, so I was dispatched into the village of Innerleithen to collect what I was assured were a few baps to help feed the hungry hordes at the beer festival. Hundreds of rows later, I was still driving back and forth. It turned out that the rolls were to enclose a modern Scottish snack, haggis burgers.
they gone? How have the haggis burgers gone?
The haggis burgers have been really, really popular.
What have we got there? There's the what?
These are beef burgers.
We have some vegetarian ones.
They're under the pan.
Right.
They go in the frying pan. You just
Yeah.
let it fall around a bit.
Right. You see, must be burning alive here. That's the sauce with the ale, is
This is the Jacobite ale sauce. Tomatoes,
good.
onions, garlic.
It's a wonderful colour.
Jacobite ale.
So, but you must have fed up with these beef burgers by now. You've been cooking them all day. So, well, I've got a little treat for you, which I'll give you later.
Oh, good, great.
Just for when you have a break, okay?
Right.
The dish which I decided to treat the workers with is an unusual favourite of mine, the Cliveden Savoury, invented at Cliveden House, home of the Astor family. Make a strong cheese sauce by melting grated mature cheddar into simmering cream. Toast thick slices of brown bread and cut them into circles. Dribble hot beer over each piece of toast. Then dribble over some melted butter. Spoon the cheese sauce over each piece. Then place under the grill until bubbling and golden. Right, here they are.
Oh, what have we got here?
Well, this is a little treat for you all that I've made.
Oh, lovely.
We'll let Elaine taste these
Let's
first.
give these people the change.
Okay. They're called Cliveden Savouries. And they're made with cheese and they've got
Cliveden
beer.
Savouries.
Yeah. Have one, have a bite and see what you think. It's got cheese, Traquair ale and butter. Flora, will you try one?
Oh, that's nice.
You like it? It's kind of a more sophisticated Welsh rabbit.
Very nice.
Very
Good.
nice.
It's like Welsh rabbit without the onion.
Well, I better not keep you all, as you're working so hard. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. Bye, see you later, bye. Bet those gates will remain closed till the arrival of a greater chef than I.
A traditional 18th century garden in Ireland provides the ingredients next week at 8. Back to tonight, and it's said that photos are becoming the new antiques. The Antique Show investigates next here on BBC2.
To north of the island, you may want to pack more.